Are we live? I think we're live. We are live. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Ah, yes. The end of the work week, the beginning of the weekend, all wrapped into one. It really is the most magical day of the week. Yeah. Oh, we have fun stuff in store for you today. But we have fun stuff in store for you every day because we're here talking about traffic. And what's more exciting than traffic? Really? I don't know. Today is Friday. What is it, the 14th? I think it's the 14th. It is the 14th, all day. Every 14th. Oh, it's the 14th today and all day. I'm looking forward to being later in the 14th. But right now is an important time. It's Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet where you ask me traffic and police questions, and I do my best to answer them. I don't have answers to everything. I wholly admit that. And sometimes my answers upset people. People did not like what I was talking about yesterday. The speed limit being the speed limit. Oh, yeah. That triggered some people who don't agree with the speed limit. Speed limit's too low. It should be much faster. Speed limit is archaic. It was based on old cars. We'll talk about it more. But yeah, a lot of people triggered about me saying that the speed limit is the limit, not the minimum. It's actually the maximum. Erin Urquhart is in the building. She'll be joining us soon if all goes well. And that's the plan. So if you have parking questions, it's a collabby day. Collabby being that, collaborating. Erin's always in the office. Erin is always jumping on and helping out. But, it's nice when we actually schedule a day where she's going to be there for the whole show. Because, there's those parking questions that come up all the time, and she is the guru of parking. I just realized I don't have graphics on the screen. Graphics are important. They help tell a story. And this story is that if you are interested in knowing, in watching and doing and being part of what we do, there's ways of contributing as a viewer. So if you want to ask us questions, you can ask us questions on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Wait. Let me rewind because Twitter is inaccurate. I got on this whole naming social media platforms and that just popped out, but it's not accurate. Twitter doesn't work. You can see us, but we can't see you. So if you want to ask us questions, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, I can put your questions right on the screen and respond to you here. If you're on TikTok, you're in the chat like so many of you are. Emma, Chris, Mike, Tyler, Neha, Clayton. My wife is in the chat. Rod Thibault is there with a hi. So yeah, that is a chat that I'm not actively watching, but my wife is taking comments from the chat and putting them into the YouTube side of things so I can put it on screen. And I really appreciate it because JD is off on location doing some other stuff this week, and my wife has made herself available to assist, and I really appreciate it. Angela Toppin, good morning. Akila Draconis, good morning. Let me just, it's greetings and salutations. It's been a minute. Still haven't been able to watch the previous 2 days. Akila works in this area of he has an expertise of traffic stuff. And actually, I've got a reason to reach out to and talk to you. So I'll have to follow up with you after the show. Hopefully, I'll actually remember to do that because I have some questions that you might be able to help me with. Okay. John getting slapped by legal. He's wearing a bicycle helmet in honor of today's guest. Like yesterday, he wore his cowboy hat for Logan. Today, he's riding a bicycle helmet because Erin is a bicycle parking enforcement officer who focuses her efforts. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn. I don't know if it's fair to say focuses efforts on bike lane enforcement, keeping our riders safe, because protecting vulnerable road users is a thing. It's very important. And she does a great job of it. And she has a huge following on TikTok and other platforms because she does such a great job. But she's going to join us and talk about parking. Okay. We have Tim Shallow who says, good morning, Sean and Erin. And Erin's not even here, so she's not getting the full benefit of your message. I'll save it and replay it. Okay. A couple of things to talk about. I see questions are already popping in, thanks to Leo Wife. First off, I want to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Vision Zero, if you're new to the channel, is a dedicated enforcement group that is active throughout the city, but they focus their efforts in different areas of the city every single day. They do that based on crash data and intelligence that is, analyzed by analysts who then send them to different areas. And today, they're in 52 and 53 division. I'll tell you about the neighborhoods in a second, but what they're focused on doing is changing driver behavior. And they focus on charges that or offenses that lead to serious injury and death, things we know are a problem. Specifically speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. And despite people who tell me all the time when I say speeding is a problem, they go, no, it's not. It's the rapid deceleration when you stop. Okay. Yes, speeding, just traveling at a higher speed, is not going to kill someone. However, it increases your crash risk. And upon collision, when it does happen, because you have an increased crash risk, it means you're more likely to become involved in the collision. Because you're going faster, you'll have more damage and more chance of injury. Nobody wants to accept that. Too bad. But aggressive driving, running lights, not paying attention to rules of the road, not yielding to pedestrians, all the things that are risking lives. Yeah, they focus on that. They don't issue hugs, they issue tickets, and tickets mean something. They negatively impact your driver's license, your ability to get insurance at a reasonable rate for sure, but you can actually one day become a person who cannot find insurance. Well, that's not true. I guess at a certain point when you're paying $1,000 a day for insurance, you can still get it, but you just can't afford it. That's a different story. And you know what? If you're a bad driver, you shouldn't be driving. And if it's more difficult to maintain your license because of the choices you've made, so be it. Okay, where are they today? That was the question I said I was going to follow up on, or the information I was going to follow with after I did my spiel. And where they are today are the neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Lawrence Park, Young Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside. And I'm reading that right off of my tweet that went out this morning at 7 a.m. We do this announcement every day. Every day. We say where they're going to be, and we announce it because it's not a secret. We don't tell you what street corner they're going to be on, or what street or specific area they're going to be at. And the reason I'm bringing this up is somebody 2 days ago mentioned he had a bone to pick with me. He said, "Hey, Erin." Yeah, take your time. He said to me, "I have a challenge. I have a bone to pick with you, Sean." He says, "You have a problem with people who high beam to notify other drivers where radar, speed traps are, where radar or laser enforcement is taking place." And I do. I have a problem with that. He said, "You have a problem with radar detectors, which notify people when to slow down to avoid being caught. Why don't you have a problem? And more so, why do you take part in telling people where Vision Zero is every day?" And I actually had to, I had to question it. I had to think about it. Two things are true. One, we don't tell you exactly where they are, so there's still an element of surprise. But we really send this message out, not for the drivers to avoid getting caught. We send this message out so the people who live and work and play in the neighborhoods know that we're out there, can feel safer knowing that we're there doing what needs to be done to make the roads safe for everyone who uses them, who deserves to be safe. And I think it's really reassuring. I also, and I said it when the question was asked, when the question was asked, and I maintain it, that the people who are breaking the law are probably not subscribing to our channels. They're probably not dealing with reading up on what the rules are, or investing in the whole deal with traffic safety. But if they are, then great. They still not. We're organizing where to put our drinks. There's a limited real estate
I'm
here
late
with all my
to the
gear.
show.
No, you're right on time. You're right on time. Hey, I really like the updated artwork.
I actually like that too.
I don't like the picture of me, and I'm assuming everyone's seen this already. But for those who have not seen it, I'll put it on the screen for a second.
It looks like you're almost like caught off guard. You're like,
well, I didn't take the picture, obviously, but I you know what? It was the one that I could easily clip for the purposes of this of doing this thing, and I was like, should I make us even sizes? I was playing with it. I'm like, I'm just putting it out there. So that is the artwork for today's show. And one day I'm actually going to put it out there. There's a podcast that I've subscribed to for years, and they ask for fan art. And I wonder if that's safe to do. But I wonder, I've had some people send us some cool stuff. If you have an interesting idea for a logo or a thing, actually our Vision Zero enforcement team post from Twitter today, that's not fan art. That is Sean Chen's artwork. Let me put that back on screen. That is Sean's artwork. He is a student who is also a photographer, and he took that. You see, I got the photo credit right there, Sean Chen, bottom left-hand corner. But he took that picture. I thought it was fantastic, so I asked him if I could use it. Actually, he gave it to me for the purposes of it. Yeah. He wanted to be a co-op student here, but unfortunately, we couldn't have him as a co-op student. But maybe at some point in the future, that'll actually happen. One day. Okay, so just to recap, my name is Sean Shapiro, police officer, Toronto Police Traffic Services. I'm a traffic cop. That's my thing. That's my bag. I'm all about cars and trucks and motorcycles. I have been since I was a kid, and safety in relation to those is a big deal for me. I like the idea of holding people accountable for the things they do, especially when it puts others at risk. You know, when I got to pay insurance, you got to pay insurance too. When I follow the law, you should follow the law too. It's so simple. This is not rocket science. And yet people argue with me all the time. Let me see here. I want to just make a quick adjustment.
While you're doing that, I forgot something. I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay, seconds too. And the person who just left is Erin Urquhart. I was like, it's time to do the introduction to Erin. No, Erin left. But Erin is and I have the button to press for Erin Urquhart. There's an Eric. Where's your button? No, I should have you higher on this list so I can find you. I'm going to put you higher on this list.
And we're back.
And you're back. Here we go. If you'd like to follow Erin on her social media, everything's TPS _. But yes, it's the reverso stuff. It's cool. It's nice to have you in, for the whole show. So very cool.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And you've had quite the week.
Yeah, the last 2 days, this morning especially. So, I could get over yesterday compared to this morning.
Well, yeah. So yesterday, I think was actually really
well. Yesterday was more on topic of what we talk about, I guess, on this show, or what you talk about on the show.
You talk about this stuff too.
No, I talk about it too, but you're more focused on the driving aspects. I can't enforce HTA, but yeah, I kind of feared for my life a little bit yesterday in an Uber on my way into work. So that was not fun, but it got rectified at least with the Uber app itself. I don't know what's going to happen with the driver.
So very simply, the driver that was driving the Uber you were taking was exhibiting signs of not being proficient behind the wheel and maybe not safe to have other people, maybe not safe to be on the road in particular or at all.
Yes.
But definitely not to be somebody working with passengers and stuff.
Yeah.
So you took it to the next level. Police weren't involved, but you did report them.
Yeah. I actually had to get out mid-ride, and it didn't get me to my destination because I didn't feel safe in the car with this driver. He seemed very, nervous in terms of driving. Couldn't take a direction, like turn right here. Seemed confused. I don't know. I don't know what the issue was, but enough for me to want to get out of the vehicle and walk an extra, 6 to 7 blocks to get to work because, yeah, I'd rather just walk and get there safely by my legs.
Sometimes walking good.
Yeah.
No, actually, if you don't feel safe with a rideshare driver, then absolutely you should end the ride and you should make a report. And you did. You contacted Uber. You made a report. They got back to you, and what they say?
I got refunded for the entire ride of the trip, and they said, the driver will be under review, and we'll decide whether or not he will have access to using this app anymore to be a rideshare driver. So,
and that's good. I'm glad to hear that they take it seriously. I've got mixed emotions about rideshare. I think that professional drivers still make errors, but when you make everybody a professional driver by the way of an app, I think that has its use. So I'm glad that you weren't hurt. But today you had another issue.
Yeah, and it wasn't an Uber situation. It was actually a dog situation, actually right in front of our station. And as I was getting out of my Uber, that was dropping me off right in front of our work, in front of our station at Traffic Services, I had my back turned. I was putting some things in my my backpack, my work bag, and I hear like, rah, 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 and it was a big dog. He came running up behind me pretty aggressively, jumped up on me, and I'd say attacked because he made contact with me and he broke my skin, but it wasn't a bite, it was a claw. And yeah, that was how I started my day. And it left a mark. So but I was, understandably upset.
For sure.
So I approached the dog, and again, the dog was off leash. On an active road, I should say.
In front of a police station.
In front of a police station. And I understand there's a lot of condos around here with people who have dogs. I'm a dog owner myself, but that is completely unacceptable. And if you have to take your dog off leash for any reason, I don't know what the reason was. The dog owner seemed to say they were on leash and I was fixing the leash and something. Well, your dog should be sitting there waiting and not, running and lunging at a stranger out of nowhere for unprovoked reasons. And yeah,
a couple of things you're lucky. One, you weren't a small child who could have been very seriously
that could have knocked over a small kid 100%.
Yeah, responsible dog owners, it's a big deal. And if you've got a dog that has issues, maybe getting a proper control collar or whatever's required. I don't know what the answer is. Multiple collars?
Yeah.
I had a very small dog. That's my only. I've been exposed to big dogs, but I've never owned a big dog, and now I don't own any dogs because my dog is dead.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear. Rest in peace.
It's a long time ago. I miss Max, but
Max, I love that name too.
He was a good dog. He was a good dog.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into some questions because people are like, when are they going to stop?
I know. Sorry, we're talking about random stuff, but I just had to vent that all to you.
Yes. If you have random stuff you think we should talk about, please let us know because it's Friday. It's a little more relaxed and not that relaxed, but it's relaxed-ish. Okay, here we go. First question coming in from TikTok, and the question is, if I get my car wrapped, do I go to the DMV to change the color? Well, we don't have a DMVS, Department of Motor Vehicles. That's an American term. We're in Canada and Ontario specifically, and here it's the Service Ontario location on behalf of the Ministry of Transportation. And yes, you have 6 days upon changing the color of your car to actually update that color change with the ministry. If you don't, it's a $110 ticket. If I pull you over, and I would pull you over if I ran your license plates and it said you have a blue Toyota Corolla and now it's a rainbow, Toyota Corolla, which would say multicolor. It wouldn't actually say rainbow. But you get the drift. If it's not what it says on the registration, it's a cause to investigate you. And obviously, you've then broken the rules. You have 6 days to change your plates and register ownership. You have 6 days to change or update the color. You have 6 days to, did I say transfer ownership already? What's the other one? There's change. If you change the engine, if you put a 4-cylinder where it used to be an 8-cylinder, or a 12-cylinder, or it used to be a 4-cylinder, because that happens every day, you have 6 days to change the information, update it. What is Section 134 of the HTA mean? Okay. Well, here's Section 134. There's subsection 1, and then there's subsection 3, and it depends on the context of why you were charged. 1 is disobey officer directing traffic, and 3 is drive on closed highway. So those are the options. You either did one or you did the other. If you did something else, let me know what you did, and I can help you decipher what you want to know more. Can I have my fog lights on when it isn't foggy? I swear this was a question we had yesterday, but maybe we lost it we had a power failure during the live stream yesterday. All the lights went out. It was scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The
was before I got here yesterday.
Yeah, the computer stayed on because it's a laptop, but the lighting and the soundboard, everything went out, which makes me want to get a backup generator right over there. Diesel in the office. That's what I need. It was before our generator could even kick in the building, or maybe somebody just turned a switch that I'm not aware of. Either way, it really messed with us. And I should actually answer the question. Yes, you can use your fog lights anytime. You can have a maximum of 4 lights projecting at 300 candela or more power to the front of your vehicle. So if that's your daytime running lights, your headlight system, your fog lights, driving lights, 4 headlight bulbs, 300 candela or more. And to a maximum of 3,000 candela, according to everything I've been able to find. What is this question? The question says, sure, we can Weber if you like after the show. Roger mentioned he wanted to touch base on some stuff beyond traffic agent thing. Oh, okay. I don't know do you mean Weber like WebEx? Like Weber? I don't know what Weber is, but either way, yes, let's connect. Okay. Are motorcycle e-bikes allowed on bike lanes? Well, what is a motorcycle e-bike? An e-bike is an e-bike. Right now, there's only one designation. It's either a lawful e-bike or not a lawful e-bike. And then there's pedelecs. So is it one? So my understanding, and Erin, maybe you can correct me, way back when we did a video, and we said that Sharos, which is just a section of road painted to say share the space.
Yes.
And a bicycle lane, you can have e-bikes in them, but if you are in cycle tracks, that e-bike, e-scooter, the ones that they're not allowed.
Correct. But a lot of e-bike, scooter riders don't seem to know or care about that because they are in the cycle tracks all the time. Personal pet peeve of mine because they go much faster than a pedal-powered bike or even just an e-assist bicycle. But those e-assist bicycles also can go pretty fast. If I'm just cruising along on my pedal-powered bike in the bike lane, and it happens all the time, people zip by me. But the e-scooters, like the kind of like the Vespas, but they're not Vespas. They're
let's see
e-Vespas,
e-Vespas
or e-scooters. Yeah, so, like the purple one.
Okay, so here we go. this is going to be a pain. Okay, I'll make it small enough that it all fits in the screen at one time.
Yeah, the
So
power
cycle track.
assisted e-bike.
So no, okay. So power assisted e-bike, maximum 120 kilos, max speed 32 kilometers an hour. This is the one that has pedals only to make it legal because really they're useless.
Yeah. So unless they're actually pedaling it,
right?
Which no one really is riding those things.
Okay, so we have a standard bicycle. It's allowed to be used on a roadway, bicycle, cycle track, multi-use trail and path, but not on the sidewalk. And none of these are allowed on the sidewalk, just to be clear. Then you've got e-bikes requiring pedaling or pedelecs. This is one that does not have a throttle. You cannot twist your wrist and go. Those are allowed in cycle tracks. E-bikes requiring pedaling that now this says over 40 kilos. Kilos. Over 40 kilos? Why did I think there was 100? Oh, here. Right on. Okay, so actually, this is talking about cargo e-bikes. So they are allowed. The power-assisted e-bike max 120 kilos. See, that's the number that I usually use. And these are the ones that look like scooters, look like motorcycles, but are not because they max out at 32 kilos. Cannot be. I know I'm going way down. Motorcycles, mopeds, and motor scooters. So these are ones that go above. I don't even know why this is included here. They're not even allowed in cycle tracks, cycle lanes. So the ones that look like motorcycles, I didn't know this. Now I know this. But why is that there and this here? I'm confused. Do you see this? It's the one. It's cut off here. I got to scroll down more so everybody else can see.
Oh.
Here, I'll make it big. So it repeats itself. See that doesn't that look like this? This look like. What's the difference between the purple one and the pink one?
Does it not have pedals? Or I can't see. I need glasses. I need to get my eyes checked so bad. Like I'm squinting here. I'm like, I can't
see a difference. Can you see a difference?
No, they look well,
obviously,
other than the seat, like I don't know. The seat looks
it's a different machine.
Does it have like two wheels? Is it like a trike? It looks almost like it could. No,
I don't know.
But
what I do know is it says it's not allowed even in cycle lanes. So that's interesting. I pressed the wrong button. I turned off the camera. So I don't know. I don't know. But so it's always been that they aren't allowed in cycle tracks, but they are on cycle lanes. And then the bottom one, for all those that look like motors, that's great to know. I got to tell everybody and make sure everyone knows so they can write more tickets. I say write more tickets because that bothers people when I say write more tickets. I put out a video today apologizing in advance. Did you? I showed it to you before.
Oh, yes. Did you post that yet?
I posted it.
Oh, okay.
It's official.
I guess we'll get to see the traction after the show.
We'll see what happens. But the video says, I apologize in advance for everything I've said and everything I will say to upset you, but I'm still going to do it. I tell people the rules and they don't like them always, but I tell them anyway.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's a question about upsetting people. Will you pull someone over if he is over 10 kilometers from the speed limit on the highway? From the speed limit, like below the speed limit, above the speed limit. Okay. I will pull someone over for speeding. Yes. If we're on a highway zone, 100 kilometers an hour, I probably wouldn't pull you over for 10 over because there's people that are all day long going 20 over, and I would happily pull someone over for doing 20 before I pull someone over for doing 10. So it depends on what your competition is. The faster you go, the more interest I have in pulling you over, but I'm not against pulling someone over for 10 over. Now, if you're in a 30 kilometer an hour zone, we have lots of those in the city of Toronto, I would, without question, pull you over for doing 25% over the posted. More than it's a third over the limit. Like if it's a 30, you're doing 10, you're going too fast. It's not okay. The whole reason we make speed limits is to have you follow them. If you don't follow them, you deserve to be ticketed. I think that's what you're at. But if you mean like going 10 below, I wouldn't pull someone over at all for 10 below, as long as they aren't in the passing lane. And then the follow-up question is, what's the maximum you'd allow someone to travel over the speed limit? Don't speed. Just don't speed. I'm the wrong person to ask this question because I'm going to tell you all day long that you're not allowed to speed. I don't speed. I set the speed limit I set it at my cruise control at the speed limit. I drive the speed limit. You should too. Depends on what your competition is. As per usual, if someone's doing 5 over, I'm really not going to bother someone for 5 over. But if you're doing 10 or 15 over and someone else is doing 20 over, 20 over is going to win. I generally pull over the fastest person, but that's not to say you should feel safe. One day might just pick you. What are the laws surrounding underglow? A question we have not heard recently. It used to be like 6 times a show.
Yeah, I was really tired of hearing about underglow for a while.
It got to the point where I used to have a a
Like
sound.
underglow.
Every time an underglow happened, I would hit a sound button. The deal is that the light bulbs can't be visible. If they're visible, you're projecting light in a direction other than straight to the ground. The only place I should see the underglow light is from the ground. If I see the bulb, you're projecting it in the wrong direction. You're eligible for a ticket for improper headlights, taillights, or some other variation. But that's it. Yeah. There's no specific underglow law. What is this? What's the consequence? Or what happens if someone is caught driving on their own with only learners and no insurance? Okay, we got to be clear about something. Insurance in Ontario works like this. Cars are insured, people are not. Yes, you may be listed on a policy, but I need to be very clear. If the vehicle is insured and you take it and drive it with only a learner's permit, the vehicle is still insured, okay? You're not insured, and well, I shouldn't say that because as a learner's, we'll get into this. It's a little more complicated. In general, a vehicle is insured, period. If someone is driving that car like a G1 driver and they get pulled over with a G1, no accompanying, supervising, qualified G, well, they get charged with drive unaccompanied or G1 drive unaccompanied. And on conviction, you're going to get not only the $110 fine, but you're going to get a 30-day suspension on your first conviction. On the second, it's a 90-day suspension. On the third, you get kicked out of the graduate licensing program because you don't deserve to be in it. And you start again if you apply. You lose all the time that you've worked on. So if that was like 7 months and 15 days and you were waiting to 8 months to get your G2, good for you. You start at zero again. You lose all your time. Okay. Now, you get into a collision when you're a G1 in an insured vehicle, they will deny your claim. They'll cover the liability because the vehicle's insured. They'll not cover your vehicle if you, assuming you were driving with permission. So somebody lends you the car when you're a G1, well, they're responsible and they get charged under the Highway Traffic Act for letting someone who's unlicensed or not properly licensed to drive the vehicle. And if they didn't give you permission, well, then we charge you criminally for take vehicle without consent. And actually, at that point, then the insurance does cover the vehicle. But hey, whatever. Oddly enough, parents tend not to want to criminally charge their children. I don't know why. I was waiting for you to react.
Sorry, I'm just like I'm
reading all the questions.
That and also like I'm kind of in La La Land this morning. Just
That's okay.
Coming down from all the stuffs.
If you have questions to take Erin out of La La Land, specific to
give me some parking questions.
Yeah, throw a parking question our way. Actually, there was a parking question that came in by DM last night, and I told them, "Hey, bring it." You just noticed your Velcro was off, or what?
Oh no, sorry. You know what? It is. It's not straight. Sorry. I might as well just get this out of the way.
Yes. So here's the deal. The question was, can you park within 9 meters of a intersecting street with an accessible permit?
No.
And I said, we answered it on the show yesterday, but the question came in after the show, and I said I have proof because I received a ticket for that, which I paid. It was like $50.
Yeah.
And I learned something, which I will never forget. Now, that's the beauty of tickets.
Yes, once you get one, that's kind of the whole point. It's to give you a lesson with a price, unfortunately.
In the chat, Arumai says, I'm auctioning off a parking ticket I got from Officer Urquhart. It's in mint condition, $500. The bidding starts. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
That is very
well.
funny.
Thank you for that laugh. That was I needed that.
And Tyrell says you're still not straight. Your Velcro's still not straight.
Oh gosh, you know what? We're doing no name tags today.
Yeah, we should actually like turn our pins upside down and right up and see how many people notice.
Okay, I think that's straight.
I've done some videos where I changed my glasses between scenes and see if someone would notice.
People catch the most like obscure things. I remember when I first started doing TikTok, and I had all the pens in my vest.
Yeah.
And people would be like, they would always make comments about the pens. One time I forgot my helmet. There's people who still leave comments on my videos saying, "Oh, you remembered your helmet," and that was like 6 months ago or a couple months ago.
A lot of old videos getting traction.
Yes.
I see someone in Instagram has got the question.
No questions.
What's this question? And then I pressed the button and just what happened? I don't understand. Oh yeah, we'll come back. Have you got questions? Oh. We'll come. Okay, I'll give you some time to percolate this question. But Erin, what do you find most rewarding about being a parking enforcement officer? And actually, I gotta call you out. You said PEO officer, but the O in PEO is officer. So the question really reads, "What's the most rewarding thing about being a parking enforcement officer?"
Well, being a parking officer, the most rewarding thing. That was the question.
Yes.
Honestly, it's when people actually appreciate what you do out there. The odd person will stop you on the street while you're just going about doing your job, and they say, like, you have a really tough job, and like, thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it. It's those people who stop and say those things that I'm like, you know what? There are people who appreciate it. And when you do go and you help someone, say, like, I've gone to calls before where it's been like an elderly person whose driveway is obstructed and they can't get out to a very important doctor's appointment or whatever the case is. And then I show up and I do enforcement and I tow the vehicle and rectify the situation. Those are rewarding moments. Aside from all the verbal abuse and the bad,
It balances out.
yeah, it balances it out, and it takes a certain kind of person to do this job on that topic as well. So, but yeah, that's what I find rewarding is community members who appreciate what we do. That in itself is rewarding.
Well,
So,
I appreciate you guys. I got to
thank
tell
you.
you that parking enforcement officers are really the unsung heroes of the city, and they don't get the credit that they deserve because you and your colleagues help keep the city moving. If it wasn't for you getting cars off the road, out of places that they're not supposed to be, we would not have the ability to get to work, to get home. Like you really do facilitate the clear and easy flow of traffic.
Yeah, especially in the downtown core when it comes to those, rush hour routes for people who commute in and out of the city who need to get to the highways to, and usually those routes are along arterial roads and we clear them. We tow all the cars out of there in the afternoon in the morning rush. So
no, it's super important. Super important. Question on the screen. Is there a law for someone driving slow? Yes. So some jurisdictions have posted maximums and posted minimums. We do not generally have that in Ontario, although I've seen it on Highway 7, I believe. It's not commonplace. I'd love to see it everywhere. I think it would be great because it takes the mystery out of it. If you say minimum 40, maximum 80, we understand clearly without question what the speed limits are and minimums are. But instead we have something called unnecessary slow driving, and unnecessary slow driving is fairly ambiguous. It is up to the officer's discretion and interpretation of what's being seen to determine whether or not the driving that they're doing is unnecessary. So posted limit is 100. Someone was just actually PC Poppy just charged someone last week for doing 60 in a 100. Now, considering most people on the 401 are doing 120 or more, some argue that 100 is too slow. Well, sadly, 100 is not too slow. It's the maximum, and everyone who's going above it should actually be held accountable with tickets every day. But that's me talking. And I hold people accountable and judge them all the time. They shouldn't be breaking the law. Now, 60 compared to 120 is a significant differential, and it's unsafe. If your vehicle won't go 60 or above 60, don't be on the highway. If you're scared to go over 60, don't be on the highway. At very least, stay to the right, but 60 is unacceptable. So let's say 80 in a 100. Is it legal? Yeah, it is legal. What if it's raining? In fact, 10 to 15 kilometers under the posted speed limit in inclement weather might be still too fast. If it's icy, slushy, snowy, we're probably all doing 60. So it all depends. And that's what I'm trying to get at. It depends. But I would never write a ticket to someone who is traveling at the speed limit and suggest that they're going too slow compared to the people who are breaking the law. That to me makes no sense. However, I know that if you're doing the speed limit and you are in the left lane and you're causing people to pass on the right unsafely, you are being a hazard. So stay to the right if you're traveling at or below the speed limit, but you are not actively passing somebody. And I must also suggest but remind people that you're never allowed to speed even when you're passing, which blows people away. There's this belief. I had people messaging me yesterday or commenting on the videos saying that if everyone speeds, it's okay. That if everyone speeds, you can't give a ticket because we're going the flow of the traffic. But flow of the traffic isn't the law. There's no go the flow of the traffic law. It's a concept that we teach people for merging purposes, that you have to get up to the speed of the flow of traffic in order to merge safely. But that doesn't mean that you can exceed the speed limit. And it doesn't mean that you can speed. Anyway, you can't speed. No speeding. Don't speed.
A random quick question for you. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. And I think Tracy also answered this in the chat because I'm taking a peek at the chat. TPS traffic jams. It's not on Spotify, is it?
It is on Spotify.
Oh, it is on Spotify. Okay,
Yes.
So there you go. Blurry face. That's the username. Yes, the podcast is on Spotify. So check it out.
It is hosted on Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. So Spotify podcasts, YouTube podcasts, Apple podcasts, it's all there. I must admit that we're a little behind. We posted an episode recently, but when I try and do it once a week, it just hasn't worked out. So I've got some cool guests lined up, and we're going to do more, and we'll get more regular at it. But it is there. There's about 17 episodes currently available, and more to come. But thank you for inquiring.
Yes, and there's an episode of Sean and I on there too.
That was like the second or third episode.
Yes.
We should do an update one.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that. I wouldn't mind. We should do like a Did we do that last summer? We should do a 2023 one.
Yes. Or we could do like a live stream where we talk about people asking questions and just like just.
Yeah, the opportunities are endless. Or this, yeah.
but TP. So traffic jam is a little different than what you're watching right now. Traffic jam is truly a podcast where we're not focused on questions from the audience. We're having a conversation. It's a little different.
Just like chit chat.
It's a little different. We're pretty chatty right now. Let's see here. Okay, very cool. This is a good question that you're not going to like the answer. Can I get tint recommendation from my doctor to not get tint tickets? I know it isn't an exemption. So if you know it isn't, so okay, you beat me to the punch. There is no tint exemption, and getting a tint recommendation isn't worth the paper it's written on because there's no legal exemption. So if you show me from a doctor that you have an exemption, I will tell you, here's your ticket. Get sunglasses. There's clothing that stops UV. You can get UV coatings that aren't tint. They're legal, but you still can't have tint. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It is Erin. No, is it Erin?
It is.
She's great. Those parking violations you catch are totally warranted. Thanks for keeping the roads safe. Keeping the roads and bike lanes open. I was totally not reading as I was speaking. But yes, it is Erin. Question was, what happens if you get caught rolling coal? Rolling coal is when you're dumping that giant stack of smoke out your pipe on generally a diesel vehicle. Although I've had it happen with turbo vehicles where you get a big dump of a plume of smoke. It's not like when you do it specifically with diesels. It's a bypass to make smoke, and it's stupid because you're just burning more gas for the visual effect of making smoke. And we're gonna ticket you. That's what happens. Another N. Oh, my kids had a dog jump on top of them and totally frighten them when the owner had them off leash at a park.
Yeah. See,
not cool.
I have a dog myself, and that caught me off guard. And I have a German Shepherd who is better trained than that, and doesn't run at random people and jump on them. But a parking question.
Yes.
Motorcycle parking.
Okay.
Is it free? In metered green P areas, like on street, yes, it is free. And also look out for they actually have designated motorcycle and scooter parking on its own. That is, cars actually can't park there. I've done a couple of videos on that. So you can go check that out. And as of April 1st, those motorcycle and scooter areas are enforceable. So if a car parks there, I can ticket them because it's not a motorcycle. So, but yes, if it's not in one of those areas, they can park in a metered spot and you don't have to pay.
Very cool. I really like the fact that you get a bonus or benefit for being able to ride a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. Well, it takes up way less space, right? So why should they? We're
promoting it. It's green.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, since Yukon has no tint laws, can I drive a Yukon registered car with tint in Ontario and be fine? So Yukon allows 70%. It's the only. Oh no, New Brunswick and Yukon both allow 70% windshield tint, which is shocking to me. You're allowed 70% front side windows, and back side you can have any, and rear you can have 70%. So there are tint laws. There's just different tint laws. Technically speaking, you cannot drive that vehicle here because it would be in violation, but it'll be up to the officer to determine whether or not they want to charge you. It is unsafe by our standards. So if you have more than 30% light blockage, your vehicle is unsafe to be on the road, and you could lose your license plates here. So technically you wouldn't lose your license. That's such an interesting question, but you could certainly be charged for it because you cannot obscure the interior, and it is considered unsafe by our standards. So should you be on our roads? No. Would the officer lay the charge based on the fact that your province allows it? Maybe. It's a good question. It's going to come down to the officer's discretion. Please shout out to Brown Guy. It's their birthday. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. and Brown Guy is their username. And that reminds me of the video I've been seeing on Instagram. Have you seen this one where a little girl is like stirring chocolate and she says, I love browns. I love all the brown. She's
Oh,
talking
I've
about
never
chocolate,
seen that.
and a guy did a response video, and he says, the brown people thank you and we love you, white child. And
Oh no, I think I
you guys
have
seen that? It's very funny. And I mean, I had to really explain that one to my kids, but it was very well done. And it was all meant in good fun and humor. And of course, the child did not know what they were saying. They were just talking about chocolate. Let's see here. Brent says, good Friday morning. Hello, Brent. Coming by YouTube. Okay, we got... Oh, here's an interesting question. Does police officers get audited if they get caught over speeding? What is over speeding? Do you mean speeding? First of all, we are by law permitted to exceed the posted speed limit in the lawful execution of our duties. If we were in a collision, if we were reported for speeding and they had to do an investigation to find out why, then we would be able to articulate why, because we're working. That's not to say we can just drive around endlessly at speed. There has to be a reason. But when we're doing traffic investigations or patrol, I'm going to follow you, and to follow you who is speeding, to find out how much you are speeding, to pace you, to measure you, to catch you, to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, to using your cell phone, drinking alcohol, like whatever I need to follow a car that is speeding, I have to be able to speed. So no, police are permitted to speed. Now, if we are going over a certain speed limit, we are flagged and investigated by virtue of the fact that we're going over a certain speed. We are all GPS tracked. Everything is recorded. And yes, we are audited in that scenario. Kayla Draconis, WebEx. Okay, question for Erin. How do you issue parking tickets in private property without LP? Is that loss prevention?
Without license plate.
License plate. Do you use VIN number to issue a ticket?
So I answered this in the chat earlier, but we'll talk about it. So I can't talk today. We'll talk about it. I can't talk today. So without a license plate, yes, we would look up the VIN, but essentially a police officer has to get involved at that point, and they would have to come and tow the vehicle essentially if it's parked on a city street. If it's does that say private property? Yes. So with private property, yes, we would have to call a police officer there. The VIN would have to be visible for us to do anything essentially. But without a license plate, I cannot issue a ticket. So a police officer would have to.
Yeah. And the magic...
Do you know any more information about that? I really can't talk that.
Yeah, I know a couple of things. And I know that we have police officers trained in the magic of VIN, because VIN numbers are in multiple places throughout a vehicle. And if someone obscures or obstructs a VIN number from being read, I got to stop saying VIN number, because VIN is VIN number. It's like a PEO officer. It's VIN. So VIN numbers. See, I got a solution. VIN numbers. So VINs that are obstructed or modified or removed, we would be able to search, and we have those qualified officers to do that search. But there's multiple places we can search on a vehicle, but we will find it. Yes. Speaking of VINs, I almost said it again. Speaking of VINs, if you're buying a motor vehicle, you may want to check the VIN to make sure that it's not on a list as a stolen vehicle. Recently, I heard a story, and I forgot where it came from, but somebody, maybe it was a TikTok probably. I think it was a news thing from one of the newsy people. And the deal was that they bought a truck. They drove it. It was involved in a collision. They took it to a body shop. The body shop ordered replacement parts, and they came in the wrong color. Their truck was black on black, and they got chrome parts. Well, based on the VIN number, they sent the appropriate parts for that VIN, which wasn't the vehicle they owned. And they found out that truck was the VIN number was being operated in the United States, and the truck that they had was a stolen vehicle. And I think they bought it from a dealership. In any case, bad news. That's a really bad situation.
Slippery situation. Slippery. Good catch.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Yes, it is. So it's a bad situation. It's a bad situation where the person who buys the car is really going to be up the creek. because they lose the vehicle. It's still the registered owner's property and the insurance company if it was stolen. So no, before you. So the reason I bring this whole thing up is because I want to direct your attention. I'm going to put this link, that Toronto thing on the thing. Okay. Trafficcop.ca. That's where I'm going. And I'm going to put trafficcop.ca on the screen for you. And the reason I bring you to trafficcop.ca screen as I itch my nose is that, am I itching my nose or am I scratching my nose? In any case, here we go. If you scroll down to the bottom of my link tree, which is on all my socials, you'll see the useful links. And useful links are truly useful because here you can see a link for checking the VIN number with the RCMP database to see if it's on the wanted or stolen list. You can also find out news about what you need to know about driving in Ontario, in other provinces as a visitor or someone who's coming from another province. You can check a driver's license. We talked earlier in the show about what to do if you're a G1 unaccompanied or what happens to you. Well, let's say you're loaning somebody a car. How do you know that they're licensed? Well, they show you a driver's license. Whoopie-doo. That may not be valid, and you're still responsible for what happens next. So the link that I have here is what rental car companies use to find out if you're licensed before they rent you a car. This system will tell you if your license is valid, and that will at least protect you if you're loaning someone a vehicle. And of course, you can renew your license plate using the link here. We don't actually do anything. We just put a link here, and it takes you to the appropriate place. That's how link trees work. Yes. Okay. I just realized that whole thing was based on a parking ticket question. Okay. Very good. Very good. Hotline number for erratic driving. The hotline number is 911. It is the hotline number for people who are putting others at risk. That person could be an impaired driver, could be a person in crisis, could be a lot of different things. And if you believe that they are putting themselves or others in immediate danger, then 911 is the most appropriate place. If it's not in immediate danger, but that's driving that is simply unacceptable and breaking the rules, you can sweetly go to tps.ca and or back to my link tree. By the way, the scatter code in the top left-hand corner, you can use that to go to the link tree or trafficcop.ca. Anyway, the deal is that there is a link to make reports about drivers, community issues. You can actually file a whole bunch of different police reports this way, all through that website. Hey, wow. Did you mention the Harley over the last couple of days? I haven't, Kayla, because if you're not here, I fail miserably. HarleyRaffle.ca. Thank you again to Akela, who reminds me when I fail miserably. Let's put that up on the screen. HarleyRaffle.ca is the website where you can go and buy tickets to get your chance to win a brand new 2022 Harley-Davidson Touring Streak Line. 1 ticket for 20, 3 tickets for 50, 8 tickets for 100, and it is in support of Special Olympics Ontario, and they are an amazing organization. They just do good things. That's what they do. May 3rd is the next early bird prize, which gives you 2 chances to get a $250 Tim Hortons gift card. Then July 5th will be the 3rd early bird prize for a 5 or for 3. No. Oh, sorry, it's 1. It's 1 Tim Hortons. It's prize 2, not 2 prizes. And of course, the third being a $500 Harley-Davidson gift card. The grand prize will be on August 2nd. That's when the draw is. But yeah, so be a good human. I like saying that. Good human. Yes. Why do cops set up speed traps at the end of hills at 3 a.m. when the roads are empty? Why do people speed?
At 3 a.m. when the roads are empty.
At down hills. The answer is you should never speed. It doesn't matter where we are. You're not allowed to exceed the speed limit. And if you are speeding because gravity has total control of your vehicle and you're not in control of it, then you still have problems. Don't speed. Ever. Okay? We go wherever people speed. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of downhill because I'd much rather have the evidence of you going uphill, because then I can absolutely jam you in court. Because people say, they use the excuse, I was just going downhill. I think that's lame, personally. So I will go at the uphill when you have absolutely zero defense in court, because I want to catch you doing the wrong thing. I want there to be a good fight. Like in terms of in court, I like the arguments. I don't know if anyone's noticed in the last 2 years of the way I speak. I'm not afraid of conflict, and I love testifying in court. I get giddy like I get giddy. You know, when people find out they're going to get candy, that's how I am when I find out I'm going to have a trial. I love that fight because it allows me to test my skills. You know, going to court and having somebody just plead guilty means I'm just going to sit there. But if I get to have a trial, I actually get to play and
trials were fun, even for parking tickets back in the day. I'm glad I got to experience that before they pretty much abolished court for parking tickets.
Now they've gone viva voce, right?
Yeah.
Viva voce means that the evidence provided in chief or in the notepad is accepted as evidence, and you don't need the officer to testify to it.
Yes, that's why we take photos now for every parking ticket.
Right on.
Yes.
We have a question from Jake here, which I've totally ignored for 10 minutes. And it is, too bad illegal parking ticket by commercial driver went on record for insurance to see might stop it. I don't understand. I don't understand the question or the statement. It really wasn't a question. Do you know what he's talking about? A commercial driver whose parking ticket, something, it disappeared.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Someone asked if police officers can give parking tickets as well, and I said yes, but they have to do it by hand, the old school way with the parking tag book. They don't have the device.
Yeah, like and I feel ripped off. I'd love to have a handheld device. I've written a few. I've not written many. We got trained on how to do it. I've since forgotten that portion of my life. The truth is we have people who are gurus who know the ins and outs of doing it. And I go there to support if I have to, or I used to support, but I was very rarely writing tickets. And there was a whole thing about like I had to write the whole book of tickets and had to be submitted. There was a whole procedure.
Yeah. I hate doing handwritten tickets. I can't tell you the last time I had to. Last time I had to write one.
What do you do if you are pulled over when you have a non-restricted firearm, but you're a licensed PAL user? I would prefer people tell me that they have the firearm with them as opposed to me finding out later. But in some states, they have an obligation to declare. I don't believe that obligation lies here, that you have to say, but I definitely appreciate it because we do checks. We can find out you're a licensed person. Very rarely does that become an issue. Thoughts on people using Waze to avoid speed traps? Waze is fun. I use Waze all the time. I'm the guy who actually constantly reports that the police are not there. But that's just me having fun with everybody else. The deal is I thought I was famous when I had Waze pop up when I was doing speed enforcement. It's like, that's me. I made that happen. I don't care about Waze. Waze is a great social media enabled tool. And frankly, if it gets people to slow down when police are working, because it doesn't necessarily mean speed trap, it just means police visible. And if it means you're going to slow down and keep one of my colleagues safe while they're writing a ticket, I think it's fantastic. Chances are you don't know what we're doing when we're doing it. It could be someone investigating a collision and it gets people to slow down. Actual speed trap or laser detector, radar detector devices, speed jammers, I have a real problem with those. And they're illegal, where Waze is not. We talked about Erin's parking motorcycle question.
Yes, we talked about
Is there a 5 kilometer an hour grace with speed cameras? I think 5 kilometers an hour is safe to assume is grace, but I can't guarantee it for you because they don't tell us. There's a great episode of TPS Traffic Jam where it's, I think, the last episode of 2022, where the folks from the automated enforcement group actually discuss it, and they don't disclose what the actual is. But yeah, I wouldn't speed. Definitely wouldn't speed. Definitely. I wouldn't speed normally, but I definitely wouldn't speed where there's a speed camera. Are transport trucks allowed in the center lane of 3-lane 400 series highways? Transport trucks are allowed in any lane unless there's a sign prohibiting them. Yeah. There's no, I grew up thinking they couldn't be in the left lane. I was wrong. There has to be signs saying it. Do you need to pay for parking if staying overnight?
Do you need to pay for parking if staying overnight? Generally, paid parking is done at midnight. And if you're downtown, a lot of residential streets are actually permit streets. So other than the 3-hour bylaw or it being permit parking, no, you don't have to pay, but you could get ticketed for the 3-hour bylaw, which
so you'd have to call in and arrange for a permit.
Or get a temporary permit through the city if you're staying somewhere. Someone also asked in the chat, when would Toronto police parking police stop ticketing vehicles in residential areas? Why would we?
If you're breaking the law, we hold you responsible. That's the whole reason we're here.
Yeah, whether residential or, a busy city street, all city streets are enforceable. And actually, residential areas, it's people in your neighborhood that is calling for enforcement for the city bylaw. If there's no signage there, like I just said, the city bylaw is no more than 3 hours, then yeah, some neighbors, they don't like people parked on their street or seeing cars parked there all day and all night for no reason. People. Yeah, people don't like people. So yeah, we why would we stop? We wouldn't.
It's actually a major issue. People don't when people are parking down the street, around the corner, using residential areas to avoid paying for parking in downtown. It's clogging up those small streets. It makes it unsafe for those who live and work and commute through there. It's for safety. And people just generally don't like it, so they request our presence. Comments on TikTok about motorcycles having to pay. Motorcycles are absolutely exempt in Toronto on street parking. There was something I was thinking. There was at one point, it wasn't always like that. It came in a number of years ago. Okay. Mir Nagda says, driving 80 in a 110, isn't that slow for good weather conditions? It's not specifically illegal because it depends. The way that the rules read is unnecessary slow driving means if you're driving unnecessarily slow, well, why are you driving 80? Why aren't you driving the limit of 110? But 110 is the maximum. If you could be ticketed for going anything below the speed limit, it wouldn't say maximum, it would say minimum. It doesn't say minimum. It doesn't give a range. It has to be reasonable. Well, it's totally reasonable to drive within reason. Mind you, 110 is a good stretch from 80. It depends. If all sorts of cars are like slamming and going around, maybe it is unreasonable. It's going to be up to the officer to make that determination. I can't speak. First of all, I don't police an area that has a 110 kilometer zone. And very rarely is it an issue. But as long as that driver is off to the right, I have very little issue with it. That's what I'm saying. Mr. Pilot. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Is it against the law to use your same license plate on your 4 cars? Someone said no, so I changed my plates on the car I drive. It is absolutely illegal to do what you're doing because your license plate is registered to a specific vehicle. And if you are using, there's a charge for what is the wording of the charge? But it's use plate not associated. What the hell? Let me see here. Plates. Let's search the permits and plates section because I know it, but I can't think of the use plate not authorized for vehicle. So it's $170, has arrest authority and seizure of the plates. And it is every person who uses or permits the use of a numbered plate on a vehicle other than a number plate authorized for use on that vehicle. So, Mr. Pilot, don't do that because you can get arrested and get your plate seized, and it's just an all-round bad thing. Obviously, the vehicle also has to be insured, which is probably not going to happen if your insurance company has 1 plate registered for 4 vehicles. Just saying, you're probably looking also at a $5,000 to $25,000 fine for using a vehicle that's not insured on the road. What do we have here? Okay, Michael H. says, the drivers that slow down suddenly last second and make dangerous passes to speed are the danger. Yeah, people don't realize that you shouldn't be staring at the 4 feet of ground in front of your bumper. You should be looking way down the road. The horizon is where you should be focusing your eyes, and you should be looking with a full field of vision and making decisions as to what you do well in advance of arriving on the rear bumper of the car in front of you. So when people say that the person who's driving at the speed limit is the problem, they really don't take into account that drivers stink these days. They just don't know how to drive, especially the ones who think they are really, really good, and they're making all these very last-minute bumper-on-bumper lane changes. It's just sad. Okay. But law on mounting camera on car. Well, are we talking about a film camera, a GoPro? Are we talking about inside the car, outside of the car? There's no car mounting camera law. There are ensuring that you have whatever is mounted to your vehicle has the ability to be safely mounted there, that it will not become detached, and that you're responsible for it. So if you don't have multiple means of attachment, if you don't have the ability to ensure that if the first mount fails, that there's a redundancy, you can't just put a suction cup on the side of your car and drive, because it's not going to be attached by the time you get there, and you're responsible. Can smokers be fined for throwing cigarettes out their car window? Yes. I have charged someone for a seatbelt, cell phone, and littering in one shot. Seatbelt, cell phone, and stop sign. They ran a stop sign while using their cell phone, and littering while not wearing a seatbelt. They got all 4 tickets. You cannot litter. I don't know why anyone would. It's gross. I've been hit by cigarettes being thrown out the window while I was on a motorcycle, and that is not fun. If you don't, this is so, okay, this is like the most standard question. If you don't want us speeding, why do you have some of the lowest limits? The deal is that our limits are our limits, and if you want to drive on our roads, you follow them. And if you don't, you should be held accountable. Now, do we have the lowest limits? No, we have roads that don't accommodate faster speed, at least not safely. DVP it has the most curves. It's supposed to be a meandering drive through the country. That's why it was designed the way it is. It could have been a straight line, but no, they had to make it fancy. And as a result, people drive off the road on a regular basis. I've been to many collisions where we're fishing cars out of the river, the Don River that runs beside the highway. Yeah, cars go in the river because certain clowns think they should go fast, and then they forget to turn. Yeah. Anyway. It's made for some really cool videos where they were taking the cranes and taking the cars out. I have some good videos.
Oh, yes.
In any case, if we raise the speed limits, let's say we made it 120. The problem with that is people will then go 130 and 140. Whatever the limit is, people push the limit. Some would believe that 120 is the average, but we have people going 140, 150. 170, somebody was just stopped and charged for 170. So regardless of what the limit is, people do what they want, and we need to hold those people accountable and ensure that they lose their licenses and stop them from being, a danger to everybody else on the road. Mr. Pilot has lots of interesting questions. I have a felony warrant in New York. Will it show up here in Canada? Why don't you turn yourself into the local police station? We'll find out. It is if you have a felony warrant. How do you say someone's trolling us? Okay.
I don't know I don't know if this person's trolling, but the same person who asked about the residential parking and why we should stop. They just keep going on saying it's a money grab. It's a money grab. Anyways,
I was posing for a picture. That's why I was silent.
I was trying to, look candid.
Mike, you here for a while? No. You're out of here? Happy Friday. It was lovely seeing you. It's my brother from another mother.
Yes, we love Mike.
He's actually my twin.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
True. Let's see here. Do you ticket people for not parking properly, like blocking 2 spots on the street?
For not
where are there spots? Are there painted spots?
Like blocking 2 spots on the street. Well, if you're double parked, meaning like you're side by side, then absolutely. Yeah. Side by side, yes, absolutely. That's stop roadside. That's $150 ticket. But in terms of like painted lines on the ground, those are just sort of guides for cars to park there. It all depends on the signage. So say a car is half in a little painted spot, but half of their car is in a no parking zone. The other half is in a metered zone. Yeah, they could get a ticket for being half in the no parking zone. But if you're talking about like parking lots, that's a different story. That's private property for the most part.
And you can get tickets for being on private property and not adhering to their rules or parking as prohibited, which means for any reason really on a private property, you park on a slashed line or a hash line, or you park into it, they can have you ticketed, but they have to request it. Can I show, this is from Chase. What's going on, Chase? Can I show my garage insurance policy, not for a specific one, when operating a vehicle with service plates? Well, that's a different scenario altogether. But there's very specific permission to use a garage plate. It's for the purposes of mechanic testing a vehicle immediately, and for that very specific reason. It's not for driving around anywhere else. If you're going shopping with service plates, expect to lose them. If you are talking about dealership plates, then it's dealership insurance goes along with the plate, and it's for any vehicle in the fleet or in the, what's it called, available for sale. Yeah. We talked about that. Can I get ticketed for bringing beer over the Quebec border? I don't know. I don't work in Quebec. or in Ottawa at the border. I don't think there's any rules about it, but I don't know anything about it, so I can't give you any answers. Do you know anything about beer and borders in Quebec?
I've brought in beer back from Quebec
You've done more than
into
I have.
Ontario, so I don't think you can, if it's all sealed and.
Well, there is the whole concept of open alcohol, and that's a
But
different story.
You're allowed to bring beer back. It's within Canada. It's
I don't know.
Provincial borders. It's not like you're not going through like U.S. borders.
I don't buy beer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I do. I like beer. So,
what legal training does traffic cops get? What legal? Well, all cops get training, and we all have a basic at the Ontario Police College training on provincial acts and understanding the laws that we're expected to enforce. We're not lawyers by any stretch. I'm not giving you legal opinion. I do sometimes give you my opinion and interpretations of things as a police officer as how I would enforce it, but I'm not speaking to defenses. I'm not interpreting how the courts would interpret it. That's their job. I've got mine. I talk about the rules, and I know how to read, but I'm not a lawyer. So we're not. When you talk about legal training, I don't know which specifically you're getting at. I very often read verbatim the rules, so that if there's any questions you have, I can read them verbatim to you as well. And again, we get police training at the police college when we become police officers, and then traffic officers who specialize get more experience and more training. And I have a tremendous amount of that experience because I've been a traffic officer for a long time, and I specialize. I read a lot. How many demerit points do you have when you have an international driver's license? People don't understand how this works. Okay. International driver's license isn't a thing. You see, the international driver's license is actually a translation card that allows you to use your foreign license here for a short period of time while you're traveling. Demerit points aren't a thing. In terms of that, we don't apply them as police. When you're convicted, they'll be applied to the license number that we establish. Likely will be established in an Ontario license number, because we can't apply them to your back home license, your foreign license. So it's possible that they would try and use your foreign license for the charge, but it would probably be that convictions would be registered against a number that would be generated on your behalf, and you could be suspended here while you're driving. So another thing is, if you're a visitor, that's one thing. You have up to 6 months to drive. Beyond that, you're going to need to have an IDP, international driving permit, which is again translation card. But if you're a resident, if you've taken up residency, you have 60 days to apply for a local license. And if you are here beyond that as a resident, your foreign license is no longer valid. People doesn't know that, or they don't know that. They know not. Okay. Follow up. What is this? Oh. Chase, I don't know the answer to your question. I got to look into that.
Someone's asking, what is the Vision Zero unit?
The Vision Zero unit?
Someone is asking that in the TikTok chat.
We have a Vision Zero enforcement unit that is a dedicated enforcement group that is looking to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. They go after people who are choosing to engage in speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. But they all they do is write tickets. They're out there and they write tons of tickets because there's tons of people who are actively breaking the law because they don't care. And we equally hold them accountable, because if you break the law, you deserve to get a ticket, and they work to get your license taken away from you. But Vision Zero, if you're looking to know what Vision Zero is specifically, is that it's a concept that's shared across the planet. Many countries are and cities are buying into this concept that the only acceptable number of deaths and injuries on our road is zero, because any number above it is unacceptable, and it's preventable. It's only because drivers are choosing to be clowns. I have to use clowns now. I think and I say clowns because if you're breaking the law, you're actively doing it. If you're driving impaired, if you're speeding, if you're using your phone, if you're anything you're doing which is unlawful is by choice. So if you make better choices, you reduce the chance of you being involved in one of these collisions and taking someone's life. And that's really what it's all about, trying to make roads safer. What do you think of quiet plates? I don't know what a quiet plate is. Do you know what a quiet plate is?
I don't know what I saw that too, and I was like, what is that?
Mr. Pilot says, my SUV has 100% tint to protect you from the sun. I don't know if you understand how this works, but 100% tint means it's opaque. And I don't think you have opaque windows, because opaque means no light gets through, because it's 100% tint, which means you can't see out the windows, which supports my belief that Mr. Pilot might be a troll.
Someone asked if that viral picture of the Toronto parking car with the ticket on it is real, and can they be taken? No, it's not real. Someone put their own ticket on one of our cars.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it happened. It's happened to me. I've come back to my car and I see a ticket on it. I'm like, oh.
But they get convicted anyway, because they don't realize
Then
that
I go back into the evidence and I put the ticket on my car.
Yeah, it's great. People are winners. Well, they're funny winners. But,
yeah.
Why do we have the lowest speed limit? I'm sure we don't, but speed limits are being reduced across the city because it's safer. It's safer because when a car hits a pedestrian, cyclist, or other vulnerable road user, you increase the odds of that person surviving, which is worth it, isn't it? I'm going to assume you're going to agree with me that saving lives is important. That's why speed limits are lower. And because drivers suck. And I don't mean that I am a driver, but we have drivers who, A, don't have very high standards to pass to become a driver compared to other countries, and B, are so distracted with technology and other things. Like 100 years ago, like when I was born, people focused on driving because there was an AM and a tape deck, and no, it was an AM radio and an 8-track cassette. Like there was nothing other than that to distract you. The car didn't have an infotainment system. You didn't have text messaging and Facebook and Instagram, but people are more interested in that than driving safely. So they drive unsafely. What is this? Can you turn left once the left turn signal is off, but the go straight is green?
Wait, what? Oh, like an advanced left? That's what I'm kind of assuming that is. Can you turn left once the left turn signal is off, but then the go straight is green? Meaning,
can you make a left turn on a green light when it's safe to do so?
Yeah, I think that's what.
This question hurts my brain.
How many TPS employees does it take to decipher a question?
I really hope this question is not what I think it is. Because this question, if you have a license, you should know this.
Yeah.
And I'm totally calling you out while not trying to make fun of you. And I don't know who's asking, because my wife is the one who cut and pasted, so it's not her asking. But that's really basic stuff for driving. Yeah. So if you're not licensed, then okay, great. But if you are licensed, you should read the handbook again.
Yes.
Turning left, if there's an advanced turn and it doesn't have a no, like, it depends on signage. It depends on the intersection. Generally speaking, you can make a left-hand turn after the advanced left once as long as it's not displaying. Because sometimes you've got turn-specific arrows and lights, so the left turn lane would be red when the other vehicles can go straight. You can't. Like, it depends. It really depends. But that made my brain hurt. Harpon Bra says, just waiting. Law on mounting camera outside of car we talked about already. Depends on how it's secured. It has to be properly secured. Logan Grant, morning. How about that, Harley? We talked about that. You missed it. Rewind. We've got how often do you encounter stolen vehicles? On a very regular basis. I can't say that I encounter them, but the Toronto Police Service encounters them on a regular basis. They are regularly identified through the Parking Enforcement Street Sweeper program. They're identified regularly when they're pulled over. They're identified regularly when they're reported by neighbors as suspicious vehicles being left to cool. And like there's so many stolen vehicles that they're encountered on a regular basis.
But I haven't found one like in my patrols in some time. And sometimes I do find one and I'll run the plate with the dispatcher and it's not the actual vehicle that's been stolen. But well, actually now this shouldn't happen because there's no stickers anymore. Some people used to steal the validation stickers that you have to put on your plate because, I don't know, they were too cheap to go buy their own or renew their own plate.
Those had serial numbers. We used to check them all the time.
Yeah, so people would report their Val stickers as stolen. So it wouldn't be the vehicle. Sometimes it would be the sticker. So yeah, anyways. But yeah, like
Jordan's iPhone got a ticket for $300 being parked chill car meet last week in Vaughan. That's likely a bylaw for being in a park after curfew. That's, I'm assuming, because it was after 11 o'clock at night, they could probably do that.
$300.
I've never heard of that. That's
Dang,
fine.
that's
a different jurisdiction.
That's hefty. Yeah.
Got charged for stunt driving in QEW, was going 157. I'm on hard anxiety meds and lost my emotions and started having an attack on the highway. Got caught while trying to exit quickly. What should I do? Well, don't drive for the next 30 days because you've had a suspension on your license. Sorry to hear that you had that experience, but I don't know why you were speeding. That is in completely unacceptable speed. You may want to get some legal advice. At very least, you would like to, or you'd be in a good position to go and get download the free Defendant's Guide to POA Court, which is available so you can understand the process. You do need to attend court on the date that you were provided on your 104, which is your summons to court. If you don't show up, you could either be found guilty in your absence, or they could move it for a trial date without you being there. Like there's a ex parte trials. Like things happen. You need to be involved at this point. You need to be paying attention and find out what they have against you. But I don't mean have against you like they have opinions, but you want to find out about the case they have against you, because that's a thing. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Vehicle traveling. What is this? Is a vehicle traveling on the hay required to yield to merging cars from ramps? Highway. Yeah. Well, you can't prevent them from entering, but they also have a responsibility to merge safely. And if they can't merge safely, well, if you accelerate to block them, not only are you a bad person, but you could potentially be looking at charges. At the end of the day, it should be a zipper merge. There should be sufficient space between you and the vehicle in front of you, and you should let people in because the road is a shared space. Why wouldn't you? PC Constable Sean, Leo wife. I don't know what Michael's saying. Let's see here. Are bikes considered vehicles on the road? Bicycles? Yes, they are. Oh, e-bikes. Well, bicycles and e-bikes are vehicles on the road. They're all responsible for following the rules of the road. And many, if not all of them, but many of them, most of them apply. Red lights, things. You can get tickets for being on an e-bike. Absolutely. You can also be charged criminally for impaired operation on an e-bike because it's a motor vehicle according to the Criminal Code of Canada. And technically it's a motor vehicle only through legislation is it being considered a bicycle. So yes, it's a vehicle on the road. And Akila says, Murray usually sits where Erin's sitting.
I took his hot seat today.
Yes. What's the fastest an e-bike can go before it becomes a motor vehicle? 32 kilometers an hour is the maximum an e-bike is permitted to travel before the legislation magical powers disappear and it reverts to being a motor vehicle requiring license, ownership, and insurance. What is this? Mr. Pilot, who has been trolling us, sort of, maybe, possibly, but has actually a very good question. Why police always at a stop red light to turn on their code 3 lights on and then run the red lights, then they turn them off? Why they do that? Because they don't want to wait for the light. I have. Okay. Under the Highway Traffic Act of Ontario, police officers are permitted to cross or not only permitted, but required when crossing through a red signal to activate their lights and sirens. But we aren't required to be code 3 lights and sirens on just to travel, even if we're going to an emergency. In fact, it's often safer for us to leave our lights and sirens off. Not only is it more beneficial for the community, especially in the middle of the night when babies are sleeping and people have, things like, sleep to do. It's not required for us to do it. And often when we turn our lights and sirens on, people who are just going about their business stop in their tracks in the middle of the road, and it becomes a situation where it's actually slower and more dangerous for us to get to where we're going. Also, when we're going somewhere, we don't want to alert the bad persons who are breaking into homes that we are coming to come and arrest them. So we will also turn off our lights and sirens when we're close to things. But it all depends. But the reason we turn it on for red lights is because we're mandated to in order to cross through it. And we obviously follow the rules. Can we drive any motorcycle on an M1 license? Any license that requires an M license, you can operate. And there are restrictions, but it's not to the type of motorcycle. I would suggest staying away from the super bikes, though, because as a learner, you probably don't have many skills. Just saying. What are the light bars allowed? Sorry? Light bars are for off-road. So let's leave it at that. Light bars are off-road bars. They're not permitted on the road. Thoughts on laws prohibiting motorcycle lane splitting? There are laws for preventing. Well, it's careless driving, stunt driving, or dangerous driving, depending on what we're seeing. It's not legal. Mommy C4 says good morning to both of you, or hello to both of you. Some people are really repeating themselves with the same questions. Yes, we got you that you got charged for stunt. Okay. How much straps do you need to safely strap on a ride-on lawnmower on a trailer? You need 4 points. You need to have, it has to not move. It has to be rated straps, and it must be the front and back wheels. Every 4 points of the vehicle have to be secured. Can you explain the consequences of a jackrabbit turn? Yes, stunt driving. 30-day suspension, 14-day impound, a 1 to 3 year suspension on conviction, because the 30-day suspension and the 14-day impound are immediately roadside upon being charged. After you go to court, because you're going to get a summons to court, after you go to court, you're going to be dealing with a 1 to 3 year suspension. And if you're a novice driver, so if you have a G1 or G2, you're going to get an additional 30-day suspension. You're going to get a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. That's the first conviction. Second conviction is 3 to 10 years. Third conviction is going to be a lifetime ban. That's the consequences. What is this? I fully agree with Sean. I like this comment because they have good taste. But it's John getting slapped by legal. I fully agree with the testing skills comment, Sean. I do that in university all the time. I am always gladly join them in a debate. Yeah, cool. I don't actually know the context of what we're talking about. Which testing skills comment? How long ago was this comment? Because I've already forgotten it. But I appreciate you agreeing with me. That's all that matters. Have I ever seen Fridays with Frank? I have. I love his stuff. I'd love to be on the road. If I was still on the road, I would be doing content like that. But I'm not on the road because of injury. So, but I love Frank. I should try and contact Frank and see if he'll come on the show, because I think he'd be a great person to chat with. If you're traveling at the speed limit, are you obligated to move over for vehicles behind you? Yeah, you should be if you're not actively passing, stay out of the left lane, whether it's right or wrong, because the same speed limit applies for every lane. So I personally believe that anyone speeding should slow down and has no right at all to go faster. And in a perfect world, they wouldn't, because they have no right to go faster. But since we don't live in that world, we live in a world where we accommodate people who want to break the law, which really bothers me. You should stay to the right, because some police officers would charge you for camping in the left lane, even though I think it's ridiculous. But they do that because their own reasons. I don't know. I would never do that. I would, however, charge the speeder all day long, every day. So are you obligated to? You cannot prevent passing. That is a law. And there is law on the books that talks about stay to the right if you're not passing. There are laws there, but I believe, and based on my interpretation of the law, that you can't have one law that supersedes another. So you can't say that you have to move out of the way for people who are speeding, because that's not what it says. The laws are all designed so that someone doesn't do 80 in a 100 zone in the left lane. And those people need to move over so that someone doing 100 in the left lane can get past them. That's the intention. But it's being misinterpreted, in my most humble of opinions, to say that clowns going faster need to have a pathway to go faster. The only thing that I think is beneficial of having everyone who's speeding in one place is I only have to point my laser in one direction on one lane. And then I think we should have automated speed enforcement so that every single person who chooses to speed gets a ticket. And I know that bothers people. If you have a felony warrant in New York, will Canada find it? Yes, Mr. Pilot, you can't hide in Canada. We talk to the states. If you have a warrant, we will find it. Police talk to one another. We have this magical thing where we search you. And if we find you on a felony warrant, we'll arrest you and we will send you back home. If you'd like to give me more information, I can have officers pick you up. It'll save you a trip to the station. Can RCMP patrol cities where there's already a police force? It really depends on where you are and what. Like in Ontario and Quebec, RCMP don't patrol generally. They have special duties that they do here. In other jurisdictions, they are the municipal police. Our favorite troll, Mr. Pilot, says, "Is this really live?" No, Mr. Pilot, this is not live. I recorded this last night in anticipation of your questions. Does a baby count in the HOV lane of the highway? Babies, last I checked, are humans and qualify as a passenger, requiring even seatbelts and stuff. So yeah, child restraint harnesses, but yes, they do qualify. Okay. Oh, Logan Grant, our friend who was on the show yesterday. If you want to see the episode, you can play it back on YouTube. What are the laws for using radar detectors in Ontario, and are there speed limits for bicycles in the downtown or really anywhere? I'll be eagerly awaiting your response. Logan, the answer to your question is radar detectors are prohibited for sale, use, transportation, everything. The only time you can have a radar detector in Ontario is if you're the manufacturer and you are putting it on a truck for export to a consignee, is the wording of the act. You cannot have one for any other reason. $170 fine, 3 demerit points, and we have search and seizure authority. If we believe you have one in your vehicle, we can search your vehicle to find it and seize it once we do. That goes for jammers, detectors, anything that prevents us from from determining your speed, for enforcing speed limits. And our speed limits for bicycles in the downtown or anywhere under the Highway Traffic Act, no. Speed limits do not apply to bicycles under the Highway Traffic Act. However, they do apply under bylaw in city parks. 20 kilometers an hour is the speed limit for anyone in a park. Okay. We've gone over time.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost 11:30.
I can't believe how long it's been going, but there's so many good questions here. What do you say? 5 more minutes?
Sure. Might as well just, yeah. Well, it's 11:27.
Sort of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What happens? What are the laws or consequences? What are the laws or consequences if you get stopped with a suspended license? Does it differ in each province? I don't know about any other province, but it is a provincial law. If you're charged, arrested and charged for driving suspended, obviously there are consequences here. Don't do it. What are the consequences though? Drive while this is why you see suspended. I want to, because I don't usually read the. Oh, it's on a permit. No, I'm in the wrong section. Suspended. I want to find. You know what? I don't want to sit. Driving while under suspension. So, first offense, the fine is $1,000 to $5,000. Second offense is $2,000 to $5,000, and both have the opportunity to put you in jail for 6 months. I don't usually look that up, so I'm glad I did, because it's not something that just comes off the top of my head. If I'm on a motorcycle and stopped at a red light, can I make changes?
Looks like people are coming to see you. Do you need Sean for something? Oh, picking up something for Simon?
Oh, there's nothing ready for Simon. He was supposed to come see me.
Okay. Oh. He sent me. No worries. Oh, sorry.
I didn't have anything prepared for him. I was waiting for him to come by and check it out. But if you got a few minutes, I can send you with some stuff. Okay.
Sorry, that was the second time I saw him pop in.
Yeah, I noticed that. Okay. So if I'm in a motorcycle and I'm stopped at a red light, can I make a change to my GPS? If your GPS is not on your phone, then technically, legally, you could. If your GPS is on your phone, then no, you cannot. It's not a good idea to, regardless of the fact that it's not against the law to touch your GPS. It is against the law to touch your phone. Can I be charged for drinking non-alcoholic beer in my car? Non-alcoholic beer is the same as drinking water, so no, unless it's negatively impacting your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle, at which point then it could be careless.
Just drinking liquid bread.
Liquid bread. Can you detect a radar detector? Do we have a radar detector? Such technology does exist. However, it's so much more simple than that. And yes, obviously, we have ways of figuring out you have a detector. Why are speed detectors illegal in Ontario? Quite simply because we don't want people to speed, and speed detectors allow people to only change their driving behavior temporarily to avoid detection, which means you're driving like a clown when you think you can, and you're temporarily asking or getting away with it, which is just pathetic. You're going to go kill somebody, but if the light goes on, you'll slow down for a second and you'll be safe. No, we want people to be safe all the time. We want to catch people who break the law so we can change their behavior or make sure that they cannot drive anymore by taking away their license.
Just laughing at that comment there. I don't think that person realizes that Leo wife is like our producer at the moment.
Yes, Leo wife is my wife, and
My
helping
wife.
me out because
Sorry.
well, it's because she's helping out.
The Borat.
Oh, that's funny. I like that a lot.
My life. We appreciate you, Leo wife.
Yes,
thank you for
so
helping
much.
us.
And we've
out.
gone long, which means that, okay.
We're getting squirrely.
Oh yeah, I was squirrely before we started. Okay. Can we make a phone call via Bluetooth? Yeah, you can. Bluetooth is like you're wearing a headset. You press a button, you can answer, you can hang up, you can activate. Siri by way of a one button press, or Hey Siri, whatever you got going on. Thoughts on laws preventing lane splitting? Okay, it's illegal. It's unsafe. Have you seen the way people drive here and everywhere? Drivers are generally so self-absorbed in their cell phone or email conversation or texting that they shouldn't be doing when they're driving. You're going to now place your life in their hands not to move over and crush you between the vehicle beside you. No, it's not safe. And additionally, it's not safe because the behavior of the motorcyclist is often that they're going far too fast while going between. So there's a huge speed differential, which would qualify for stunt or dangerous driving. So yeah, no, it shouldn't happen. Lane filtering, I really personally don't have a problem with, but it has to be reasonable. You can't just drive for a kilometer between stop traffic. As much as I can appreciate that it's helpful or beneficial for the motorcyclist, I do, however, believe that you should be able to move between the vehicles directly in front of you and stop. And that's because you don't want to be the rear bumper for the next car that runs out of control and smashes into you, the motorcyclist, as opposed to the bumpers that can protect you. So I have mixed emotions when it comes to that. Running a red light with my bike affect my driver's license? Running a red light with your bicycle? No. You have to drive a motor vehicle to have points, and to have points. Okay, so let's specify. Points go to your license for the purposes of saying it was a motor vehicle, and that would affect your points and your ability to maintain your license from the driver responsibility office perspective of the MTO. Could a charge against you on a bicycle affect your insurance? It's up to the insurance company. It does go on your license. It is a charge against you while we're operating a vehicle on the road. If a passenger drinks alcohol while I drive, who is liable? Well, I think you both get a ticket. Definitely the passenger. Open alcohol, I think you can still be charged. I've never laid the charge, so I don't really.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But the idea of you having open alcohol, I'm pretty sure it's the driver who's going to be getting the charge, because limo drivers get charged, so you would get charged. The driver. So
that's a question. So are limos licensed? No?
They're not permitted. You are not allowed to have open alcohol in a motor vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And that includes so buses when you do that when you're in a limo, you're putting the driver at risk.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And I thank you. We're starting the
dad jokes.
Dad jokes. What did one math book say to another? I have so many problems. I like that. When a librarian goes fishing, what do they bring as bait? Bookworms. And then we have scientists have discovered a giant naturally occurring windmill. They say it's Mother Nature's biggest fan.
Yeah, that was a dud.
Do we do the weekend one now, or do we wait till Monday to do it? Let's do it now. I bet a butterfly's favorite subject in school is mathematics. Yeah. How do you know when a bucket is sick? It looks a little pale.
Cute.
I don't know how cute it is, but
yeah.
I'm going to. Okay. I'm scrolling through very quickly to look if there's anything magical, but we've gone really over time and it was not a planned thing. Yeah. I have to do a presentation in an hour and I have to prepare for it. So, let me see here. But this makes me really laugh. For real. Yeah. Real wife is asking way too many questions, okay?
Oh, coma.
I love it. That's the best thing ever.
Oh, okay. I think that they're having a back and forth. Can't get through any other questions. They're just mad because they're like, I can't see my own questions or other questions.
Oh my, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Chris Orr wants to know if the third. I got really that tears in my eyes.
Oh,
I don't know who that is, but I got to ignore it.
The phone ringing.
I don't know who it is. It's my phone. I have a soft phone and a hard phone. I got lots of phones. Okay. Third brake light can flash instead of being solid red. It should be able to flash a couple times, but it cannot flash intermittently. It has to be a solid, a regular pulse. Otherwise, it would be illegal. Coma. Yeah, see, they came to an understanding.
Yes.
Coma totally
Okay,
got
good.
it.
Glad you all worked it
But I
out.
really do. Coma, I totally appreciate you. I'm not making fun of you. I just think it's really, well, actually, I kind of making fun of you, but at the same time, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Question from somebody on TikTok: is my car insured if I lend it to a G2 driver? If they're a G2 driver who's properly licensed and you have insurance, then yes, if you lend it to them, your insurance goes with the car. Now, just you should know that some insurance policies say you can't lend the vehicle to someone under 25, that you have to know what your insurance policy is before you do it, because if you lend it to somebody that doesn't qualify, then you might find yourself not getting covered. Parking question. I've seen parking tickets fly away on windy days. Would the driver just need to pay the fine when renewing?
No, so you'll get a notice in the mail if you haven't done anything with the ticket, I believe in 14 or 15 days. So yeah, if you haven't paid it, you'll get a notice in the mail. And I think there might be an extra charge if you haven't, like it starts collecting interest.
Yeah, parking tickets used to be like, if you pay this by a certain date, this is the price. After this,
but now they're parking violations and they go through the city. I do believe that they collect some sort of interest.
Oh, very cool.
You don't pay them.
Richard says, good morning. And you sent this at, wow, this is from 11:15. So,
oh my goodness,
this is
20 minutes ago.
But you're not in Ontario, so maybe are you in the same time zone, or are you in? I don't know. Remember where you are now. I'm having problems today. Okay, this is a follow up to the question possibly earlier. I've seen left turn lights with arrow for advanced, with the light remaining green afterwards once main lanes are green. Not sure if they mean that or the left turn light goes red. Depends. Yeah, I don't know. That was follow up for something earlier. If 407 is paid privately, took a while for that to happen. How is police able to ticket on private property? Through the 407 Act, I believe. There's a law that's being passed to make that all possible. What are the exhaust noise rules? Unnecessary noise is a charge under the HTA. It says that if you're making unnecessary noise, you can be charged. That can be from loud music, exhaust, or squealing of tires, which is also covered, by the way, under stunt, the squealing of tires part. Yeah, you can't make noise. That's unnecessary, which means if it's not related to the safe operation of your vehicle, it's not allowed. Now, if you have an improper muffler because you have a hole in it, or you've removed it, or you've put an aftermarket non-legal one, or you're revving it, not revving it. Revving is part of the unnecessary noise. But just if it's not functioning as per regulation, then you have an exhaust problem in addition to the excessive noise. Okay. Can I remove all the stickers off my plates in Ontario because we don't need them anymore? Yes, you can. Frontline Gamer says, I think a lot of people don't understand that when Sean is in uniform doing the job, he answers and gives answers based on law, not necessarily his personal opinion. Oddly enough, my personal opinion and the law seem to be really, really, really tied closely together. I really, truly believe in doing the right thing. I really, truly believe in not speeding. I like to practice what I preach and be a good example, and very rarely do my opinions vary from what the law says. Because my opinion is, if you want to change the law, but don't break the current law. So there are laws that I think are ridiculous. Are they still laws? Yes. And I would enforce those laws. As ridiculous as they are, there's not really that many that are truly ridiculous, but I enforce laws. My job is to enforce laws, educate about laws. And I believe that if you live in a society, you should follow the laws of the society. And if you want to become involved in politics and change laws, or speak to your politicians and get things changed because you just don't agree with them, then I believe in your right to do that. I just don't believe in your right to break the laws because you think they suck. That's my thing. Okay, very quickly, medical scooters versus e-scooters. One is a medical device and one is not a medical device, and it has to be manufactured and get covered, or there's a sticker on it that says medical. You can't just say I'm driving a medical device. It has to be made a certain way, and that's all I know about that. Are truck inspectors private or public? If we're talking about the Ontario Ministry of Transportation truck inspectors, they are ministry employees. Is the dog a passenger for HOV? No, they're not. I'd love furry friends to be covered. I would buy a dog tomorrow if that was the case, because I really want to use the HOV and can't. But no, they're not covered. Humans only. Sorry to tell you. Okay. I got pulled over for loud exhaust, but my exhaust is stock. Driver behavior. Revving your engine could be enough to make your exhaust noise ticket. If it was improper exhaust is one thing, you might have a defense for that. But if you have a unnecessary noise violation, that could be based on your driving behavior. If you're redlining it to do 40 kilometers an hour, then you're making unnecessary noise. You can still choose to fight it, but that doesn't mean you're going to win. Let's see here. Can you use one hand to touch a mounted phone to adjust? No, you cannot touch your mounted phone. You can't adjust your GPS. You can only look at your GPS. The exemption under the HTA for handheld communication device allows you to look at your phone while you're driving, which would otherwise be illegal. You can't look at your phone to watch a movie, to play video games, to read an email. That is a screen visible to driver. That's not illegal. You have an exemption so you can see the GPS, but you must set it and forget it before you get on the road. Can't do it when you're stopped. Do I need to carry my personal insurance card when I'm driving my husband's car? You need to have the insurance card for the car or your insurance card. Both will work. The law says you have to surrender an insurance card, not your insurance card or his insurance card, an insurance card. That has to be valid. Either or will work. You're better off having the one for the actual vehicle, in my opinion, but either will suffice. So let me know how you won on that debate. I am interested to know. Thunder Bay, 173 distracted driving tickets. You're in Thunder Bay, so you're not here. Okay. 173 distracted driving tickets were issued 1 week. I think we've had 173 in one day in Toronto. So nana boo boo. No, I'm pretty sure one day was 77 for sure. I've got a tweet that talks about that, but I think we've got you beat. But that's reasonable considering the difference in population. Dad joke from Michaela Draconis. Toronto is a very compassionate city. Where else can you get a late excuse? The gardener was congested. Such concern for those who care for our lawns when they have a cold. I get it.
Is it because of the lawns on the gardener?
It's the gardener was congested.
Now I get it. I didn't get it at first. I got it after the fact.
It took me a while, and I can't decide, is that really, really good? Or I actually think it's pretty good.
Okay, I got that.
Okay. All right. I think we're done.
Yeah,
we're definitely done.
I gotta go too.
I gotta go too. So. Okay. Folks, it's been a blast. I really, really do appreciate everyone who spent time with us today. Yeah. It's been a fantastic day. Erin, thank you for joining me. It was nice to have you.
Thanks for listening to the start of my day.
You know what? It was
to get my mind off some things that have happened. So thank you.
Uber situations followed by dog situations does not make for fun.
Leash your dogs, especially on an active road.
Yeah, there are dog parks. Police station. There are specifically dog parks, but we'll have to see about getting you the video for that. In any case, it's been a blast. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. What is this? Drive sober. Stay safe. Park legally. Don't speed. Break laws. Have a ticket-free weekend by not breaking the law. It's a wonderful way to go. And Pilot says, you have a blessed day. You too, Pilot. I appreciate you and your warrants. Have a great one. Take care. I was going to press that button. I didn't press my button.